Welcome back, you degenerates. I told myself no more homages, but I can't seem to quit these fucking things. I've got Tudors and Rolex, arguably the most copied brands in the current state of homages, yet I still can't keep my grimy mitts off of these San Martins. I've already done a review on the SN020B, and if you haven't seen it yet, then shame on you. There's a link somewhere on this screen. There are several variations of the 020 and 0107, and these ones today are limited edition collaborations between San Martin and Watchdives. The bottom line up front is they are great watches. You're probably thinking that they look exactly the same.
They're the same picture.
And rightfully so. Realistically, to any normal person, there's not much different about them. The 020 has the more elegant and polished Explorer style case, whereas the 0107 has the more rugged and brushed Ranger style case. What takes it home for me is the dial. Everyone and their mother has an Explorer and Ranger homage. They're good designs, they're comfortable, and more often than not, they've got decent movements. But in a sea of copycats, these ones stand out to me with a dial layout that is not usually ever seen on these types of watches. The dial is far from unique, it's a direct rip from the Serica Commando, but it's still a great execution and I like every bit of it. This version of the 0107, which is the focal point of today's episode, is pretty close to what I imagine a perfect GADA watch would be. I might even go so far as to say that it's better than a Rolex or Tudor. Of course, the term better is purely subjective. Whether or not it's better really depends on what you prioritize in a watch, and it just so happens that the 0107 satisfies all of those things for me. The Explorer and Ranger are often hyped as the perfect GADA watches, but let me present my case as to why this San Martin does it better. And before you horological incels start frothing at the mouth with anger, I just want to make it very clear that my opinion is superior to yours. I'll start with the Explorer. I think it's too blingy. As beautiful as it is, and as nice as it looks, it is simply far too bright to be considered anything other than a luxury watch. Don't get me wrong, it's a phenomenal watch and beautifully finished. I just don't ever see myself wearing it outside of a controlled environment. The obvious solution would then be to opt for the Ranger. But what the Ranger makes up for in brute ruggedness, it falls back short in its overly plain dial execution. Again, don't get me wrong, the Ranger is also a phenomenal watch. I can easily see it becoming an icon even more so than it already is now. The dial is just too plain for me. There's a part of me that needs more. It's hard to explain what it is exactly that I need more of, but the Ranger lacks whatever that is. I think a perfect watch exists between the Explorer and Ranger. If you were to combine them into an unholy Rolex Tudor union, that would be my ideal watch. Now enter the SN0107, with the brushed finishing that a tool watch should have, and the well-populated, visually appealing dial that I crave as a watch addict. I'm sure Hans Wilsdorf is rolling in his grave, and I'm okay with that. This is a great watch, and I have zero qualms saying what I'm saying. Of course, my opinions are purely subjective. Your thoughts on this may very well be different than mine. So with that said, let's cover the objective facts, starting off with the dimensions. Pretty boilerplate numbers here, which I think is good. It's right around that size that will fit both large and small wrists. I love that 12mm case height. It works well with the 38mm diameter, and the overall proportions look professional. For reference, I have 8-inch wrists, and I've got no issues with it. For price, these go for $248 out the door on the Watchdives website. I used an old Welcome 10 coupon that I guess never expired and got mine for $238. With that, you're going to get a watch powered by a NH35 automatic movement, a stainless steel case, a sapphire crystal, applied BGW9 lume, a screw-down crown, a screw-down caseback, and a water resistance rating of 100 meters. I know you degenerates love lume like a fat kid loves corn dogs, so here's another look at the Lumeshot. It's not as in-your-face bright as I'm used to seeing from San Martin, but the glow time is long and I have no criticisms for it. My one criticism that I do have would go to the crown. The crown itself is outstanding. The coined edge makes it easy to use, the threading is smooth, and the action is solid. I just don't like how they signed it. Usually I'm all about signed crowns, but in this case I don't think it flows smoothly with the brushed case sides. To me, it contrasts too much in more of a gimmicky way, and I would have preferred a plain, unsigned crown. The clasp has a similar branding, but I like how it looks here. It's a little playful, and it's executed really well. The entire bracelet is executed really well. A big part of why I think St. Martin watches are such a good value is because of how nice their bracelets are. It's nothing complex, just simple, solid, and easy to use, exactly how a watch bracelet should be. I feel confident in saying that they outshine many of their Western counterparts. Going over the fit and finish, I'm a happy customer. It's primarily brushed from top to bottom with polished beveled edges, which make for a very pleasing watch to look at. It's also got just the right amount of heft to it, not being too heavy, but dense enough to make you feel like you're holding a real piece of equipment. And there's no facade of quality here. Even on the inside, there isn't any plastic bullshit, and I'm all about that. So what do you guys think? Is it a quality watch, or just another copycat from a brand notorious for their shameless plagiarism? Of course, that's up to you to decide. I know what I think, and I'm sure I've made it clear what those thoughts are. I like owning the Explorer and Ranger because I know without a shadow of a doubt that I'm not settling with this SN0107. It is a legitimately good watch that provides me everything I need both functionally and superficially. There's probably a lot to digest here with what I've said throughout this video. Don't read too deep into it. I think all of these watches are good and I enjoy them all for their own merits that they bring to my collection. But that's all I got for now. Stay classy. I sure as hell won't.